is a Bramble Jam podcast. Yeah!
Oh,
We're
boy.
on! We're on, everybody!
Yes, sir.
Who are we yelling at?
I can feel a miracle coming on, guys.
You think so?
Do you believe in miracles?
Lane 1, lane 2?
Yes.
I only believe in miracles in lane 2.
Yeah, only lane 2. They do...
Miracles on ice? You don't believe in miracles on ice?
Absolutely not.
Really?
Wow. So you just hate America. Okay.
Have I got a
Okay.
Team USA for you, kiddo?
God. Don't even believe in miracles
Man.
on ice. That's
brutal.
unbelievable. That's a tough way to start the episode. Hey, who are you down there at the end?
I'm
What's your-
Bran.
And who are we?
I'm Erin, and this is Decum Dino,
Decum Dino. Great.
otherwise known as
do that.
Dan.
I thought you were going to introduce us all like last week, Bran. I was just trying to get some
I
consistency.
like to just do things a little bit differently.
every time.
Yeah, that's right.
The thing about podcast people is they don't want to hear any routine. They want to hear it different.
I don't
every
think
time.
that's the routine people care about.
Really?
I think it's like the, continuing to put out episodes on a regular basis.
Yeah,
and,
they do care about consistency.
I don't think it's like, hey, how do you
Introduce the show?
The guests.
Wow.
And by the guests, I mean the other co-hosts.
That's right. Hey, you know
guys
what's
aren't
great
guests.
about Decom Descendants
That
is
we're just guests and
we're
Brand's the
just
host.
guests.
That we're thriving.
is that Aaron and I are recurring guests that have been on every episode somehow.
I do think that's more fair than
Co-host?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Wow.
I do.
She hates America. You
Hate us.
hate us.
until someone
We were
else.
trying to keep everybody together. That's just how I do things.
Until someone else starts trying around here, I think it's the only logical thing.
Wow.
Oh no,
This is unbelievable.
well, I
Guess I'll try harder.
I don't even
Yeah.
know if I want it.
I
It
don't
looks
either.
scary.
I will say this. Something's going right because the reviews are starting to pop off.
Yeah,
Brand.
The Blitz work from last week.
That's this coming.
No, the Blitz is
We
happening
have
this
not
week.
seen the Blitz.
yeah,
yet.
I know that, but
In
they
our
don't know
heads,
that.
the Blitz
Blew up.
But we don't know at the time of this recording. What we do know is we went in 1 week from 68 to 76 reviews.
I think the Blitz worked.
You think the Blitz worked? Well, the
Pre-works.
thing is we're going to need at least 8 more reviews a week, every week, to get to 100 by 20. I think we're going to need a little
That's
bit
a
more
daunting
than that.
number.
Yeah, I think we're really going to need your help. This is the time to go find a
Friends,
relative's iPhone and
anybody.
just put a 5-star
Is
in there.
it by 20 or do we get 20 as well, and then we can see how we did on week
Yeah,
21?
you get through 20. So when we record episode 21, I
know.
think
We'll know.
we'll have to make the call at that point.
But technically, we're a week ahead.
Yeah, we would not. Yeah, that's
but
gonna be
you
tough.
you said we got a lot of new reviews.
We got
Dan?
a lot new reviews. Yes, we do.
You want to read one of them?
I would love to. Christina Dexter says, another reason to enjoy Fridays. I had no desire to watch DComs as a kid, but I certainly enjoyed this podcast. I think it's a great format, and it is interesting to hear the overtime opinions. Okay.
Yeah. Wow. All right, so we got one vote for overtime being the best segment.
Yeah,
How about that?
Kalisa, I guess. There's 3 A's at the end of that. DCOM Delight is what she says. 5 stars, no notes. As I
Wow.
write this, Orlando Magic are down 2-1. So
Oh,
double or nothing.
wow.
Looking good for Dan. That's fantastic. Boston, DirecTV, Channel 290.
That's very
Boston,
nice.
shout out.
That's very nice.
I bet this person who's really from Boston does believe in miracles on ice.
I bet they
which
do.
makes me think you're not even from the area.
I do
The
believe
most
in miracles on
patriotic-
ice.
Do you?
Okay. Yeah, you've regretted it since you said it.
It's a very moving speech at the end. Like, how do you not
We
love
beat
that?
the Russians.
Like, how do you not love
We solved
that
the
movie?
Cold War
We'll
on
read.
ice.
We'll read some more of those reviews in the coming weeks, but keep
Yeah.
them coming. Keep
Yeah.
them coming. I don't want to hedge our bets, by reading
Hedge
all
our
of them
bets?
and then,
I don't. Yeah, we'll heads it a little bit further because Bob Cobb 1 wrote, the only one of these I've ever seen and will see is Johnny Tsunami.
Wow.
And yet this is a fun time every week. I mean, I feel like the
Bob
reviews
Cobb.
are in.
Bob Cobb.
If Bob Cobb has spoken.
Yeah, and if you had to
I
choose
live my
one,
life.
so far I think we would all agree Johnny Tsunami.
Yeah.
I live my life by the gospel of Bob Cobb.
Gospel Bob Cobb.
Bob Cobb gospel.
Yeah, him and Maynard Yoder are both at the
That's
top
right.
of my list.
You know what else? What other gospel I follow?
Is it the I'm Lonely thing you're about
No.
to hit? What is it?
It's the
Delish.
gospel of Delish.
Yeah.
The Gospel of Delish. Yes.
was segueing.
G-O-D.
It
Gospel
is
of Delish.
time.
Amen.
God is good.
All the time.
Aaron, we got a movie about a soapbox derby.
Yep.
What could you possibly have brought for us today?
I brought some mint soap. Just kidding. Well, it was a soapbox derby.
Yes.
We just came out of Derby season.
We are
with
Derby
the Kentucky
You
Derby.
just came out of Derby
Well,
season.
the Kentucky Derby happened already.
Okay. Yeah.
Or post
Yeah,
derby.
boy, what a race it was.
Yeah, the
we all
Belmont
dressed
Stakes,
up.
those
Your
other
hat
ones,
was just
yeah.
ginormous.
Yeah.
We all dressed up for it,
Yeah.
right, Brian?
Yes, we did.
The
And Clint,
seersucker you wore was unbelievable.
I put all my money on Clandle Bikeswell, and you know,
Rags to riches took it away, if you can believe it. Yep.
Yeah. So in the spirit of the resurrection and the Derby, I made a mint julep.
Spirit of the resurrection.
for
and the
those
Derby.
out there, really quickly that don't listen to Deck the Hallmark. Spirit of the Resurrection is a Deck the Hallmark joke that we've now brought
What's
over.
that about? What's Deck the Hallmark about?
Deck the Hallmark's Deck the. Thanks
I
for
don't know
asking.
what you're
Dad.
talking about. We say in the spirit of the resurrection anytime we're serious about something.
I just didn't want people to be concerned. or
Just as
confused.
Jesus rose from the dead, I raised this mint julep.
That's right. That's right. DeckTheHallmark.com. Give it a listen. All right, so it's a mint julep. What is that?
It is bourbon, some simple syrup, which is basically just sugar.
I know.
And mint.
I'm good.
Brand gave a full I'm not stupid look.
Please don't woman-splain simple syrup to
He
me.
talked to you like you were a guest on the show, not a host, is what that what
Well,
happened.
I'm
just then.
a guest,
Yes.
That's right.
a reoccurring.
Cheers, everybody. Delish. Yeah,
It's yummy.
that's not bad at all.
That's yummy.
That's
As a person who doesn't like bourbon, that's not
God,
bad.
that's like dangerous good.
Oh no.
In a plastic cup, it shouldn't taste this. This should not taste this.
Oh
good.
no.
So wait, what's the tie-in again?
The
Julep?
Derby.
Just juleps?
Kentucky
Derby.
At
Derby.
the Kentucky Derby, they drink mint julep.
Mint juleps. Sorry,
I didn't know that.
Sorry.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
I should have woman-splained that.
That's
I
the
don't
thing
know
is,
anything
she
about.
stopped.
I don't know anything about the
Yeah,
Kentucky
so
Derby.
the like.
And you
the-
bet it all on Clamel's Bob.
The national drink of the Derby is mint juleps.
The
So
Really?
national drink.
Are they this good?
I don't
They're
know.
better than that. I guarantee you.
I guarantee, but
I don't know how, because this is great. I mean,
for something I whipped up from the wrong Publix, not bad.
All the
what's wrong with Publix?
all the racist Kentucky Derby founders drink their mint juleps and have a good time watching people beat horses. It's awesome. We love
Man,
it.
there was a lot there.
There was so much.
Am
there.
I not a fan of the Kentucky Derby? Who can say? Let's take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll talk about Miracle.
And we're gonna think about our lives.
Yeah, just think about it, okay? Think about what you've done. Think long and hard. Yeah. All right. Decom. We'll be back.
That's our host.
I like horses.
Did you say whores?
Welcome back, everybody, to Decom Descendants.
You like horses, but not when they have sense.
No, I don't. It's time for Miracle in Lane 2, everybody. Miracle in Lane 2. The May 13th, 2000 movie.
Oh, we're right there.
Right there. We're following it in suit, really.
May 13th is my older brother's birthday.
Wow.
Happy birthday,
He would-
older Thompson.
Yeah, Jim. He would have turned 19 May 13th, 2000.
So he was a
Today-
big fan of decoms.
Huge.
We kind of crush it. It's May 10th today.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We're almost at the 24th anniversary of
We definitely premiered this
Well, sure did.
podcast
There's
on
a
a calendar.
giant ass calendar in our room, and it is just
It takes up an entire wall of the
and it's
studio.
just how close can we possibly match it
Yeah.
to the date
We
that it
did this
airs.
on purpose.
Yes. Yeah.
We did this
Of
because we're
course.
great guests.
That's right.
That's
We're
right.
awesome guests.
this
Leave
movie.
it better than you found it. That's what that's what guests are supposed to do, and that's what we do here.
This movie stars one Frankie Muniz. Maybe you've heard of him.
boss of
Is
me.
directed by Greg Beeman. The theme music composed by Phil Marshall.
Phil Marshall.
What was the theme?
I don't remember.
Miracle.
But he did a great job.
Miracle on Lane 2. We meet the Yoder family. That's their last name, the Yoders. The Yoder family is your standard family. Happy married couple.
Yeah.
So happy.
They're
So happy.
So happy.
They talk about
So
this
happy.
married couple talks about having sex in some form or fashion in
Their
virtually
first
every
kiss,
scene.
Their first kiss does
Yeah.
not belong in a decom.
Yeah. But then like almost every scene that they have just the two of them, if there's a Bechdel test for just sex, it would be this movie.
Oh,
that
boy.
it gets
Spicy.
Yeah.
When
yeah.
she says I'm in the mood for strawberries, I had to leave the room.
Yeah. And those kids are old enough. We'll get there. Because they're throwing up
Well,
somewhere.
Frankie didn't.
Yeah.
Frankie didn't understand.
Frankie did not understand.
Okay.
He found the strawberry and said, I don't want to know.
They have one son.
We'll get there. We'll wait. We'll wait till we'll get there.
The older son, Seth, is good at,
Literally
getting
everything,
including getting out of going to funerals. He has
The only
tummy
thing
troubles.
he's not good at is getting his dad to show up for a game.
That's right. And then we meet Justin, who is a kid who he was born with spina bifida, and he thinks that it happened because God made a mistake, and we know that because
how do we know
get
that, Bryn?
many
Fantasy
sequences in which Frankie Muniz is face to face with God with
I believe we
sideburns.
landed on 9 total in an
and a half.
9 in an 84-minute movie.
Yeah.
And a half.
Yeah.
I mean, in the first 11 minutes, we were up to 3, right?
Yeah.
3 or 4?
One every 13,
That's a lot.
14. It's crazy.
It's a lot. It's a lot. But he has a lot of those. And he at the funeral kind of talks about how he doesn't think anybody's going to care when he dies. He's at the funeral for his great uncle by the name of
Maynard Yoder.
Maynard Yoder. And everybody's talking and crying about how great Maynard was, and he's like, no one's gonna care about me. The most important.
The priest is reading all the things Maynard has done in his life,
Right.
and it's
Maynard
a
Yoder,
long
of
list of things. And
But he imagines that the priest is doing a funeral on him and has
Right.
nothing to say, but so much to say about his wheelchair.
Yes.
Which is like an early moment in this movie where you think this movie could go one of two distinct ways.
But it's clear that he thinks that the only thing
people
remember or know about him is that he's in a wheelchair.
That's right.
And all that he really wants more than anything in life is to be like his brother and finally win a trophy. Now, his brother has bukus of trophies.
yeah, he
So
has
many.
an entire wall bookshelf, which I personally would have used for books. But he has them filled with
okay.
trophies.
Cool.
There was so much room for books, and he had it filled with sports trophies.
But he also does read, and we do see that at some point. He
does own a couple books.
own a couple books. Maybe not a full wall full, and that's fair. So he's trying to figure out a way to finally get a trophy. He doesn't know what he could possibly do. The first thing he tries is baseball. He gets a baseball flyer, falls into his face via a newspaper, and he decides that he wants to try baseball.
Yeah.
Somehow this kid's never thought baseball in all of his years. I don't know if he's just I don't know.
They also establish early on that if he has a shunt, and if the shunt malfunctions and he gets a headache, he could die.
Yes.
And they have to go to the hospital, bags, the whole thing.
He
at any
has
moment.
hydrocephalus.
Hydrocephalus.
Yes.
I would maybe suggest that in the case of any slight head trauma potential, baseball's maybe not your sport.
Aaron thinks not everyone should play baseball.
Wow.
That's what I heard.
Wow. America's pastime.
I
He
mean-
hates America. That makes sense. because
America's
she
pastime,
hates
more like America's
miracles on
nope
ice.
time
That's
for
right.
Aaron.
That's right.
I would just be a very nervous parent
Yeah.
if my child got a slight headache and could die
At
in
any
moments.
That's right.
I would have a hard time putting him out in the path of running other players, like
A
fly
ball
balls.
going,
Like
90 miles an hour. Yeah.
I mean,
No, that's fair.
and his mom was all for it. She's like, yeah, let's
Yes,
go sign you
mom's
up.
all of it. Dad's a little bit nervous, but mom's like, no, we
Yeah.
got this. So mom takes him to go and sign up for baseball. Obviously, they stop for Slurpees first. You have to.
Yeah. Duh.
I mean, if the Slurpee's on the way.
What better way to get ready for baseball practice or
Giant
tryouts
slurp,
than giant
just
blue
massive.
Slurpee?
Yes.
The coach is like, no, this isn't happening. Like,
Not on my watch.
How would you run around the bases? We're not going to do this whole thing. It's not fair to the kids that play. Blah blah blah. All this stuff. And so Justin ends up throwing the Slurpee up all over him.
So it's a no-go.
If it wasn't a no-go already, it is now
Yes.
officially a no-go.
Yeah, and I do think the time to maybe have your wheelchair-bound son play baseball would maybe not be on sign-up day. Like maybe call the league and work out,
Yeah. And look,
because it's hard to make accommodations day of.
that's true. That's true. It is.
I
But
saw
I think
Dave.
It was
you
a
can-
big
you-
ask.
You can make accommodations and you can even the playing field there, but I think
Literally
on
playing
the
field.
first day
It's a big ask. Big ask, but
of
also
one middle-aged coach to make
that's
him
right.
do
Yes.
that.
I've seen Day of Accommodations live. Really good show. Really good show for all people. So after that, he just really wants a trophy. So he decides, maybe I'll give chess a try. Does he really play chess? No, he doesn't really play chess, but who cares? Because he can show up and he can lie about his age.
He lies about his age,
Yes.
gets in the
He's
younger
12.
category.
She's like, "You're 10." He's like, "Yeah,
Yes.
10-ish."
And bad news for him is this
He's never played
10-year-old
chess.
this 10-year-old schools him in the
Works
game
him.
of chess. So no
Kind of.
trophy
Yes,
there.
not really, but we're supposed to believe that he does. Yes.
So on his way out of this chess competition, obviously the chess competition takes place right next door to the car show. There's nothing we can
a
do.
tale as old as time.
Yeah.
How many times have you run into a car show and been like, "Where's the chess
I
competition?"
thought the chess
And it's
competition
right-
was here, and they're like, "No, that's
it's
in
right
the
there.
gazebo
Yeah, yeah,
next
yeah.
door.
It's a
all
both
good."
hand.
Yeah.
It's a both hand situation.
So he is looking, and he sees outside of the outside of the car show is a giant trophy, and so he's like, "This is my chance.
I can get this trophy.
I can get this trophy," which is
Weird
fascinating
for someone that doesn't own a car.
So
Two
he
things.
he begins to question the
He's
guy.
just very focused on owning a trophy.
Yes. He begins questioning the person who's running the competition. How does this work? How do you win? And they say, "Oh, everyone
Best
knows
car
this,
wins.
but it is best car wins."
By donation.
Way that we find that out is by donations. People put dollars or mores in the box associated with the car in which they
And
like
so
the most.
in that case, one person could come up and put $10,000 in a box, and they would have just voted once,
yeah.
but they would still win based upon those rules. Correct?
The
Yeah.
rules are very
So that
easy.
is legit. That's like literally stuffing the ballot box. You are not voting with your dollar. It's just whoever is the richest.
Yeah, what if I have 9,000 people all believe in my car and give me $1 bills?
That's right.
But you have one
This
person
guy
with
who's like-
$10,000.
Yeah. Doesn't make any sense.
Bummer.
It's
So-
a real bad way to do a car competition. Is all I'm saying.
He points at his scary neighbor who is in a part of this conversation, Old Man Vic.
Old Man Vic.
And Old
I
Man
hear
Vic,
that he chops up children in his shed.
that's exactly right. Hangs them in the little shed there, and so
From like meat hooks.
from
I
meat
got you.
hooks.
Yeah, got it.
He takes them from the fishing pole, so he doesn't need them anymore.
He doesn't need the fishing poles.
Just the hooks.
That's what we know.
So he points to him and he's like, "How about that guy right there?" And the guy's like, "Well, he's clearly got the best car, but he'll never win."
Because he's
And
so
then we
mean.
see him verbally accosting people that want to look at his car.
That's
like
right.
actually going out. Like,
Give me $1.
Why even show up for the competition if you're going to be mean
It's a
to
weird
everyone
scene.
that could vote for you? It doesn't make any sense.
Give me $1.
I mean, they needed
What are you doing looking at this beautiful
some
car?
way. I would love to read up on the real Justin Yoder and see if this is like, is this how he and Vic met? Is there a real Vic? Because otherwise, this is just a weird way for
It
them
is.
to meet.
I have one question for the real Justin Yoder. Just one.
Okay.
Do you have an uncle named Maynard Yoder? That is my only question for Justin Yoder. I think the rest is pretty airtight, but I need to know if you had an uncle named Maynard Yoder. Because what a name. What a name.
Yeah, more than fair.
Yeah. So Justin goes over and
He
he's
goes
like, what if wheelchair helped?
Yes.
Is basically what he does.
And he says, "Hey, here's the thing. If I help you win, you got to give me the trophy." And he's like, "No, we're not going to do that." But then he decides, "All right, let's try it." So he gives the kid the box, and everybody immediately starts giving the kid in the wheelchair money.
Yeah.
Because one, they see him and they're like, "Oh, that's cute," and then two, he's not yelling at them.
He's not
So
verbally
that
accosting
helps.
them. It's
It
a
helps.
win-win.
It's
there.
a win-win.
There's a sympathy vote and there's a just be nice to people
Right.
vote.
So they do win, but Old Man Vic does not immediately give him the trophy for reasons I don't really know. But maybe he didn't take the trophy home. Maybe he got mailed to him. I don't know. But either way, he keeps looking out the window.
The
being
trophy's
like,
not ready yet. They have to engrave it.
oh, okay.
because that's why he stops by the house
yes.
later. Yeah.
So he's waiting and he's waiting and he's waiting. No trophy. One day he arrives home and his brother is like, "Yeah, someone came to, it was Old Man Vic, blah, blah, blah." And he's like, "Did he have a box with him?" And he's like, "Yeah, I don't know. So he goes over across the street and Old Man Vic's not there. But he goes around the back and he sees in the garage. He looks up and he sees a box. And what else could be in box but trophy?
It has to be trophy.
It has to be
can't
trophy.
Be anything
Nothing
but
else
trophy.
comes in boxes except.
No, he works on a car back there.
Yeah.
There's tools. It has to be trophy.
It has to be trophy.
Outside of that shed is a trash can filled with perfectly good fishing equipment.
I mean, maybe
Sans
it's not a trash
hooks.
can. Maybe that is where he stores.
No, because he then, when he knocks it over later, he looks at him and goes, "Take all that to the road with the rest of the trash." He has thrown away all of his fishing equipment, and we need to know that right now. Recently, he has thrown it away.
So he sees the box. He decides, I'm going to try to get it. So he gets a pole, a rake, or something. I don't know. And he's trying to get it off because it's very tall. It's very high.
Yeah.
And in the process, it's on top of the shelf. The entire shelf falls down
Aaron
on
has
top.
an anxiety attack.
On top of
I saw it comment and I hated it.
his beautiful car.
Though I'm now thinking, Vic, like Justin and his mom get back from grocery shopping. They see Vic pull away.
Yeah.
Justin goes straight to Vic's house. Vic is not there. His truck is not in the driveway. He is not there. How could that be the trophy that was in his car?
It is also breaking and entering. Like, it's full on trespassing. It's everything.
I know that he's only 12.
This is
and
not.
Maybe he's lived a sheltered life, but there are so many things wrong with you.
Just
breaking
think it
into
through.
the garage.
Just think it through.
Yeah, just take 5 seconds.
What are the odds that in the time in which I saw Vic drive off, he pulled into his car, threw the box up on the top, and then just left real fast before I could see him.
hanging on there.
The odds are good. I'm going to try to get that box
My
down.
kid lives to like get into stuff he's not supposed to get into, and I think there would even be enough barriers where he would be like, maybe I shouldn't do this.
Maybe I wait and ask someone.
Maybe I wait.
He doesn't. The shelf that the box was on falls, and all the stuff falls on top of his beautiful model car.
Martin Home Alone 2.
And then the car begins to roll down.
Yeah, he hits the lever on the trailer.
Which causes it to roll backwards
insult to injury.
into trash cans filled with fishing poles and who knows what else.
I hated it.
And
it was an avoidable mess, and I hated it.
It's at this point.
And if you want to see me have a panic attack, take the tape.com.
Tape.com.
You can watch me
Bramble
watch
Jam
this
Plus.
movie, have a panic attack.
That's right. If you want commentary tracks to all the movies that we were reviewing, take to tape.com or just sign up at the BrambleJamPlus.com with the all access tier. You'll get all of those included from now until forever.
Eternity.
So Vic shows up, obviously very mad, and he's like, "You got to do a bunch of chores. You got to do this. You got to fix that. You got to,
take
get
the trash out. You
all
gotta,
sorts of stuff that this kid's gonna have to do.
Trim the hedges.
He tells him the most important thing though is that you do not go into that shed.
That's right.
Is it because he's got bodies in it?
I love how big this yard is, where we have a standalone garage, and then behind that
another
standalone
shed. I have an uncle with 2 separate standalone garage sheds.
Yeah. It's just a big yard.
It is. It's a lot. But yes. And also, as this is going on, we start to see the older kid unravel, right? Like he is
slowly. Yeah.
He's going to appointments. We don't know what they are.
Yeah, Justin begins to realize that he's going to this doctor. He finds out, from his doctor that he's going to a doctor. He's like, no, not that doctor. So he's trying to figure out, what's going on with my brother. And he thinks that he's got it figured out.
Because he snoops around in his mom's room, mom and dad's room, and he finds, among other things,
he's looking for mom's date book.
He finds strawberry massage oil. And this 12-year-old boy doesn't put any pieces together.
He's like, I don't want to solve this mystery.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing I can figure is that there's just pure denial on his part. He refuses to acknowledge.
You have to.
Yep.
Yeah, there's no other move.
I would be in pure denial.
Yeah.
But also,
could be for anything.
He like Frankie Muniz tries to look like he's 6. Like, what would this be for? Man. And he puts it back in the drawer. And you think, all right, well, that's a weird thing for a DCOM to have in its movie. Is this weird nod to this married couple that's had chemistry all movie long, and you're like, what are we watching? And then you think that's going to be the end of it, and it just isn't the end of it.
It's not.
It's almost like they wouldn't bring the massage oil back, would they?
They wouldn't. There's no way they would. This movie's just TNG.
But he does find the mom's date book with a doctor appointment for Seth. He calls the doctor and finds out what's going on.
Yes, that's right. More on that later.
We don't find out yet, but
no.
So after days and days of working at Vic's place, Vic is like, "Can I trust you? I got to go do some errands. Just stay here." And stay out of trouble. He does not. He does not stay out of trouble. He goes into.
Do you think he could have learned his lesson the first time?
No. He looks in and he sees a bunch of trophies, obviously, in the window. So now he's like, I gotta get in there. I love trophies.
Yeah.
This is
one of these trophies?
This is when he discovers the soapbox. Not the soapbox you get on to share your thoughts on something.
Different soapbox.
Soapbox for Derby. Soapbox
that's
for
one
sounds
way.
like a different decom.
Yes.
That's one way to say it.
Soapbox for Derby.
A soapbox for Derby. He clicks play on this old reel that begins to project on this, old.
There happens to be a screen set up.
Screen
Everything
or whatever.
is set up perfect for projector reel film viewing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he sees Vic is there, and there's soapbox derby races going on, and you see him. Vic is happy. He's with woman. He's with woman. Yeah, he's with a woman. Has a little girl also that is in the races. And it's at this point Vic walks in and he is peeved and he's basically never come around.
Get out of here.
Never come around ever again.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that doesn't last all that long because it's at this point that he decides, I want to soapbox. I would like to derby myself. This could be my thing. And the parents are both like, okay,
all right,
this is the thing. Now, Dad doesn't know anything about soapbox derby.
But he's going to give it the old college try.
At first they say, the first Dad does not agree to try. At first the parents are like, yeah, sounds great.
Yeah.
You said Vic knew about it? Great. He can show you the ropes because we're busy.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. And they do ask Vic, and Vic is like, no, I'm not going to help you.
That's my default response, right, Bran? When your kids are really interested in something, first of all, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, every time I ask for your help for something, it's I'm busy.
Yeah. I don't have time for
Could you ask Old Man Vic?
Yes, Old Man Vic. What's he up to?
But obviously, eventually, his dad gives in. They begin to build a soapbox.
Derby.
And
he gets his mom makes chocolate chip cookies and he brings them to Vic. And obviously, you bring someone cookies, they're not going to say no.
No. And he's got to bring that 10 back when he's done. And when he brings the 10 back, he can see that they are working on soapbox. And he's like, what are you doing?
You're doing it all wrong.
You're doing it all wrong.
He's like, I'm not helping you. I'm just bringing this tin back. Yeah. I showed you what a soapbox looked like. I showed you a race. You got to see it. I'm out.
That's right.
But then
you are doing that wrong.
He can't help but tinker. And you know that Vic is in. Yeah. At that point, you know he's in.
That's right. That's right. And so he begins to build it together. But the whole thing that Dad can't get over is, how is my son going to stop soapbox?
Yeah.
At the end of the Derby, you go down this big hill,
Derby and steer, but
how's he gonna break?
Yeah.
And
because breaks typically use feet.
Older brother's got a baseball game.
Undefeated.
And so
this isn't the time.
Dad has not made it to a single game because he works 2 jobs. He's
Teaches
been pulling
and paints.
He's been doing double duty trying to pay for some medical bills.
And he says, Dad, are you definitely coming to my game tonight? Because you definitely don't have work. And he says,
you betcha.
You betcha. I promise. I'll be there. And it's at this point in time, he says, go ahead. I'll catch up with you.
Which I do have questions about.
Yeah.
He goes, you take the boys. Right. I'll come later in the van.
Right.
The van is the
handicap accessible van that fits Justin's wheelchair.
It's the only way Justin can travel.
So I do wonder how Mom got both boys and gear to game.
Yeah, the other automobile is in the shop. Literally, there is not another automobile.
Yeah. And even if they had the truck, it fits like
Justin
2 people.
would not be able to ride in there.
Yeah. I mean, if it's close enough to walk to, why does he get in the car anyway?
So many questions.
Eventually, Dad is like, "Oh, I gotta get going." So he gets into the van and he.
Luckily for him, this is one of those vans with a center console handbrake.
Yes, it's a hand emergency brake.
Yes. Yeah.
Which he pushes down, and then he realizes,
there it is.
This could be it. And so
does he sit on that idea, go to the game, and think about it?
He gets out of the van. He calls Old Man Vic, and they get a prototype together immediately.
Got it.
They get it, and he is pumped about that. When everybody comes home, he
he tries to make it to the game. He
does try to make it.
He gets the break to work. Awesome. Hops back in the van.
And he missed it by what I can only imagine is hours.
But somehow did not pass them.
They all went to celebrate afterwards. And then as they're going home, he's like, maybe they're still at the ballpark for a 5-hour AL East clash down there at the Little League park.
Right.
I mean, they were doing the most for Dad. Like the game started at what I can only imagine is 9
Yeah.
9 p.m. Right.
Man, and he by the time he got there, the lights were off.
Yeah.
It was after
Yeah.
midnight. It was after midnight when he shows up.
Maybe
And they're
went-
not home yet.
Maybe they
They're
went to
partying.
extras. I don't know.
The timing on that scene is suspect.
Yeah, there's a lot there that doesn't make sense.
So he comes back home. His wife lets him know that he done goofed. And so he goes and obviously apologizes to his son.
No.
He does not apologize to his son.
Narrator, he didn't.
Yeah, he goes out to the garage, and like us, we've been conditioned based on the one Disney Channel movie with a father and son heart to heart that when your
Wait a
son
minute.
is in the garage and you go out there, we're gonna get a heart to heart
There are other father-son heart to hearts in DComs.
in the garage.
In the garage, I don't know about it in the garage.
I was thinking about Brink.
Yeah, in the garage. Brink, obviously.
No,
But
I mean Johnny
instead-
Tsunami's dad. He
Yes.
gets heart to heart. I was just thinking like he's going. Oh, his son's upset in
Yeah.
the garage. He's going out to the garage.
This guy.
The formula of DComs is we're gonna have a heart to heart.
Yeah, and he does have a heart to heart, and it is completely one-sided. What this heart to heart looks like is this. Son, I know I said I'd be there, and I wasn't. But you know why I'm not? It's because I can't cheer for you. I
can't cheer for
you
Justin.
because I can't cheer for my younger boy. And because I can't cheer for him, it means it's not fair for me to cheer you on and be present for you as a father. That is his big apology. It's terrible.
And Seth does not accept it, which he
doesn't like it.
shouldn't.
Good
He
for
doesn't
Seth.
like it.
Seth's been a real SOB this movie, but that is absolutely uncalled for.
I mean, to an extent, Seth deserves to be a little bit of an SOB. Like,
He goes above and beyond his SOB quota, in my opinion.
well, yeah. I mean, there is
Yes.
a percentage of SOB that he is allowed to be
Correct.
in this position where he is doing everything right,
Yeah,
excelling
you
in all
get a
these
quota.
sports.
You get a quota for sure. Nobody cares. Yeah,
and the parents
absolutely.
don't see, his dad doesn't notice him because
This is-
everyone's just so concerned about Justin.
Yeah, this is most
But-
every older child without the wrinkle of there being a disability. Like this is
Yeah.
just older kids in general.
Yeah. Yeah. So they finally have built the car and they go to give it a little test spin. And it's clear that there's something going, like steering's not right. Just the steering's not right. And after he gets down there, they look and Vic's like, hey, you got the wires crossed left to the right. That's why the
So when he's steering left,
Yes.
the car is going right.
And so Justin naturally says, I know who did this. It definitely
Seth.
wasn't my dad or Vic made a mistake.
You know who knows a lot about soapbox mechanics?
Yes, because it was already
enough to mess it up.
My older brother.
there was already a bit of tension between Seth and Justin
Mm-hmm.
about the soapbox derby, and so he goes and he yells at his brother, and he's like, "You did this," and he's like, "I don't care about your dumb soapbox." It's at this point that Justin says, "Well, I know you're going to therapy, and you're
He says it way worse.
yeah.
than
What
that.
what I'm trying to be."
Seeing a shrink, you're crazy, you're loco,
crazy.
Looney Tunes.
He says, "I might be
Come to
crippled, but
Sentence is produced by Aaron Shea.
I might be crippled, but at least I'm not crazy."
Oh,
So
man.
yeah, it's
I'm not crazy. I'm just a little unwell.
I don't like either of those terms.
Yeah.
And it's at this point that Seth looks at Justin and says,
I wish I could punch you.
I wish I could punch you, and I hope that you die.
I hate you. I hope that you die.
I hope you die.
And
Cut to the next scene where Justin almost dies. Immediately.
Yes.
Justin's like, all right, noted.
Yeah. Hold my beer.
It is time for
Real Derby.
real derby time, and Seth is reluctantly coming along for the ride there.
Yeah.
And Justin does his he's doing well.
He's doing okay.
He's doing
Yeah,
well.
He's
He's
losing,
not-
but he's doing all right.
He's not winning, but he's getting there.
He's getting
He's
better,
doing
like
some
each.
stuff.
I mean,
Yes.
it's his first match.
and they're
Yes.
tournaments, so you have to
it
win
could
a
be
bunch.
his first match, heat, trial, race. Any
Yeah,
one of those
we'll
terms.
get to the heat
means
trial
the
race
same
practice in a
thing.
second, but in these, it's not like it's a one and done. If you win, you move on. So like he's
Yeah.
winning some, but he's not winning a trophy, basically, right?
That's right.
He's like
right.
winning enough to
And
stay
then
in.
last match, he has a chance in the finals to win an actual trophy.
That's right.
We're doing it. Here we
Yes.
He's gonna get
And
a trophy and the movie's over.
lots of pressure here, and he begins to feel some pain, in his head, which we know means, you probably
Shunt
should
is
go get that.
malfunctioned.
You should go get
Yes.
that checked out.
Yep.
Unless it's just a thinking too hard headache,
Yes,
and
which
then
he
those
knows
don't
the
count,
difference.
and we
He
we
knows
know
the
that.
difference. This is not.
And he's trying to power through.
Yeah,
He's
he
telling
decides-
himself, no headache, no
He
headache.
does-
Right,
he
like
does
I
not tell
can just
Vic.
get through this race and then
Yeah.
deal with this.
So on the way down, I saw you, and he, loses consciousness
Yes.
and goes flying
Almost
into
fell right through. Yeah.
Yes. And I think hits a tree, and he's clearly he's just having a tough
unconscious.
time. He's unconscious.
Yeah.
And so they bring him to the hospital, and ultimately he is okay.
He sees God in the
Yeah.
hospital.
He sees-
Turns out it's not a dream.
Yes, it's actually so whenever he envisions God in these fantasy sequences, it is his favorite race car driver, and apparently Vic actually knows the guy and
Yeah,
had
so
him
gives him
come
a
and talk
call.
to him,
You
but
know what's
nobody believes him. No
wild
one
is-
believes the kid. Do they let him race again? Yes, but they don't
They do,
believe him
yeah.
when he says that somebody came
Yeah.
and talked to him in
and the
his
doctor does
room.
say his is it what's in it? What's the piece in his head?
Shunt.
The shunt has been malfunctioning for a while, and she's like, he knows what this feels like. Like, why wouldn't he say something? And the parents are like, we need to set some ground rules. Like,
Yes.
we're gonna let you race again, but you need to be honest.
I'm just now thinking of the fact that this kid has car racing posters all over his room, and he never once thought of this as his sport.
Right.
Well, I mean, I think he understood he can't race a car. I don't think he knew about soapbox.
Know about the soapbox
until he discovered.
Also, fun fact, the race car driver that plays God in IMDb, at least on my quick glance, he's credited not as the race car driver, but as God.
Right.
Oh, I saw he's
So
credited as both.
Both?
Okay.
Wow.
All right. Just sit with that though.
It's
Yeah,
God
sit with that.
/ Bobby Flay.
God slash Bobby Flay. Well, I mean,
It's
of
not-
course.
it's not
Yeah.
Bobby Flay.
So he
I just can't
finally
think of what the race car driver's name is.
he
Didn't we
finally
see shots of
So
a
when
million
you try
posters?
to beat Bobby Flay, you're
Yeah.
trying to beat God? Is what you're saying?
No.
Man.
I mean in
If
a
Bobby
sense.
Flay is
I
God,
didn't think
I am
we were gonna be
out.
sacrilegious here.
I am out.
See, on mine, it just says Tuck Watkins, God.
Tuck.
But if you click see all,
See all that.
Oh,
say
he
both?
gets two credits, two
yeah,
different.
he's God and
He is,
credits.
so it's not slash?
No, it's not.
Oh, it
Bobby
shows
Wade.
up. If
It wasn't
you,
Bobby. I was halfway there.
Yeah, Bobby Flay. Bobby Wade.
Bobby.
I was close.
Bobby.
It's a
Ricky.
showdown with Gotti Flay.
Ricky Bobby. So he finally comes home from the hospital,
But clearly
and
God was more important.
while they were gone, they got a call that somebody had dropped out, and so they're
the
inviting
next
him.
one in line
yes,
would be Justin.
would be him for the big
The
tournament.
Nationals in
Yes.
Akron.
We're going to
Akron,
nationals.
Ohio.
We're going to nationals.
Akron, but
now
that's not what they say.
Seth takes his phone call and he wants to keep it to himself.
Yes.
And so when they say, "Did we get any messages?" he says no.
No.
But then there's a little bit of a flashing on the old
Yeah.
what is it?
Answering machine.
Answering machine. Thank
Yes.
you.
Because they had started to leave a message, and
Yes.
Seth walked in and picked it up.
Do you have an answer machine in your house like after the age of 10, Brain?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, my parents had a home phone for a very long time. I think until they moved up here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they loved the home phone. So he's like, no messages, but Dad sees it, starts to play it, hears that it's from the Soapbox Derby people.
And Seth
He
goes,
tries to
"No."
stop it, and then he's finally like, all right, here's the thing. He did this thing, and
He gets to compete again.
he gets to compete again. And he's expecting
Everyone to be like,
everybody to be
"Oh,
like, oh,
bummer."
we can't do that. Yeah. But they're all like, yeah, we get to do
Because
it.
literally, Justin and parents have just walked in
Right.
from the hospital.
Yes, from the hospital.
And they're already excited about getting back on the horse.
That's right. They're
Which,
super
you know what?
pumped.
A+ for some supportive parents.
That's right.
Yes.
Finally.
Because
Supportive.
I would have been like, you're not doing
That's
this.
right.
Then
I
I
gotta
would have
process.
begrudgingly let him do it.
Yeah.
I
He
think
gets
there's
hurt, and I'd be
really-
like,
maybe a happy medium, I think, is there's somewhere
Maybe
in
let's
there.
not go to nationals this
this
year.
year.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
we'll join next season.
Yeah. But anyway, they're pumped, and Seth is like, I don't get what's going on here. This is crazy.
He runs off.
But they all, it is time to head to.
No, can we debrief the other example of bad parenting from Dad?
Sure.
Seth runs off after he's like, I can't believe after everything we've just went through, we're going to do this. We're going to let him keep competing. And he runs off. And Dad storms after him, bursts into the room, slams the door, starts yelling at
Yeah.
Seth.
Gotten into you.
Yeah.
And Seth is on his bed trying to cry.
Oh, yeah. It's not going well for him. Poor
But
guy.
he is upset. He's like, we almost lost him, and you guys just turn around. We're just going to do this again. And Dad still has no sympathy for Seth.
he can't say he's sorry. He can't do it.
He can't sympathize with his son being like, I know it's scary. Like nothing. It is still somehow Seth is the bad guy here.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal.
So
tough scene.
in Miracle on Lane 2, the sequel, when Seth is a villain, I get it.
Yeah, when Seth goes full dark, I will understand that.
I'll be like, I don't
transformation.
agree, but I get it.
Yeah.
So
Have a supportive father.
yeah.
We also have Vic. Well, we have the weird thing where the mom then makes another reference to this massage
The
oil.
lube.
Oh yeah.
She's
After
thinking,
dinner, Seth is gonna go wash dishes, and she looks at the husband. She goes, "I'm in the mood for strawberries."
It was.
Wink, wink,
it
nudge,
couldn't have been more like what. But when they're ready to leave for nationals, Vic shows up. We're like, is Vic coming? We don't know if he's coming.
Oh yeah, Vic's running late.
And this is maybe the scene of the movie. Maybe you disagree. Vic shows up in his 54 Corvette or whatever it is, and he never drives.
Nope, it's just for show.
And he's driving it, and it's just the best.
It's for him and Frankie.
I mean,
to drive
they let Justin
Akron.
ride in the car to Akron. Yes,
right. This is when he opens up about the loss of his daughter and the loss of his wife, and they have a sweet moment together. And they show up finally at Akron, and they're seeing all the different competitors and all that good stuff. And we find out that there's a dad who is very intense about.
Yeah.
He has spent $20,000 on his daughter's soapbox career.
And he sees
that's just on the wind thing, not the whole career, just the wind.
Got it.
He watches
So more than 20,000.
Way more.
He watches Justin do his test trial run.
Yeah.
Heat.
Yeah.
And
It's a trial heat practice.
Run.
after they leave, he does the one thing that we all know you're not supposed to do, and he checks out another racer's car.
You're not supposed to look in someone else's car.
No, you don't do it.
How
It's
dare
their
you?
business.
So that's exactly what they do in their car is
right.
up to them, unless
I don't even see derby cars.
unless it breaks the rules.
I don't
unless
even,
it breaks
I don't
the
even
rules.
see them.
Yeah. And
All
he
derby cars matter.
and all
They all
he's-
matter.
And all he says when he looks inside is interesting.
Yeah, I did think
I
that
thought
he was
gonna
going to do some
tinker.
sabotage.
I thought he was going to tinker, but he
Yeah.
doesn't tinker.
No.
No, he just looks and goes, interesting. Well, he might have tinkered, but he saw something in there that was interesting.
That's
and
right.
Didn't tinker.
Interesting. So they're in their motel room, and they get a knock at the door, and it is the guy who's running the competition, and he says, "It's been brought to our attention that you are using a handbrake. The rules clearly
Yeah.
state feet
be
brakes
brakes
only."
Yeah, and mom's like, well,
Feet
he's
brakes only. Is
he
what he
is
said.
paralyzed from the waist down. He can't
Yeah.
use a foot brake. And he's like, I understand, but rules are rules.
I kind of thought the parents were just going to be like, that's fine. He'll just stop with whatever hits him after the finish line. He'll beat you anyway.
Yeah,
Then
that's
we'll
right.
put up a screen down there or something. Like, I
bit.
thought that's what they were going to do.
Yeah.
Like, I like,
But they don't. They let up. He lets them know
no
the rules committee is
point.
going to meet.
I just feel like in other, and again, I don't know anything about racing sports. I don't watch them. I don't participate in them.
other sports games,
But I feel
unless
like
it's on ice, then it's an absolutely.
like your car gets checked out to make sure there's nothing.
It's soapbox derby,
Okay.
though. I don't know how serious. If it was NASCAR, I think yes. But
I just feel like he's been competing all season and
I
not
will
once
say,
did a single
now that
official
we're saying this
look
out
at it.
loud, it is very weird that the rule is no one can look inside your car.
Yeah.
You would think that they would have some regulations.
Somebody can, right?
About
Right,
that.
like is it just other competitors don't look because it's an honor system?
But if somebody else did look in his car, they would know that there was a handbrake there, right?
So I just think it's weird that he's competed multiple times and,
And nobody
a
said a
single
thing.
official has not looked until
Yeah.
this point.
But the rules committee's going to meet.
I would be curious. I almost wonder if in real life it didn't happen that way, but it
Yeah.
happens in decom
My
for some
guess is
drama.
they would probably have to have some creative license there.
Yeah.
Whatever. Regardless, they show up to
Say
the
he
rules.
can't compete. We're gonna have a hearing, but
Yes, rules committee is going to meet, and they hear your
we
argument.
do hate kids in wheelchairs. So
That is
What
the
if-
consensus.
What if the creative license was Seth in real life was actually just super supportive and nice, and he had to watch this movie and be like, "What the f, bro?
What did I do?
Did I just say
What did I do
hated
wrong?
him and wanted him dead?
I would never.
Oh
I love my brother.
gosh!
yeah, what justice for Seth.
It is at this point that Seth comes in and saves the day because they're getting ready to rule and say that he can't race, and Seth
Yeah.
comes in and says,
Well, he and his brother have still not quite made up from their big fight, but Seth has been supportive, coming along. Yeah. He's wearing the Justin Time t-shirt. But when Justin thinks that he's getting disqualified, he looks at Seth and he's like, "Are you happy now?
Yeah.
I don't get to compete. So you're number one again. All I wanted was to feel one time what it was like to be you."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Seth's like, I done messed up.
Seth's like, I got it. I'm going to call the media. That's right. They're going to care. The media
Seth's
cares.
like, I'm going to fix this for my little brother.
That's right.
And he does just that then. He calls the media. He has the media show up and he says, if you want to say
at the hearing, they are about to lose.
Yes, they are about to lose.
They are going to rule against
the child with spina bifida competing in the soapbox derby.
And
the rule is like, you don't use the brake going down. The brake is only after the finish line.
So why does it matter?
So why?
It's just a
and they're like,
safety.
it's just those are the rules. We can't.
Them's the brakes, literally.
Literally.
And so Seth comes in, he makes his statement, he brings the media in, and it's like, you can make your, hearing.
I read your handbook front to cover, and
you're about education.
You're all about education. Well, you know what I learned in school?
The media.
The power of the media.
Right.
Come on in, guys.
It's a pretty good speech.
Yeah.
And
the problem is now there'd be like media with dissenting opinions on it. Like Newsmax would be like, he doesn't even have spina bifida.
But this was in 2000.
He can walk fine. I saw Justin walking the other day.
Yeah, but this is 2000. So
more like just in time, more like just in line. He's standing up, waiting in line somewhere for cheese.
So with the pressure of the media, they rule in favor of Justin competing.
For cheese. That was the part that got me.
Yeah. And so it's time for the big race. And, well, first they go out and they do the thing where they try to see which lane is better. So they drop all the golf balls.
In one of the most pointless scenes in the history of celluloid, like of the scenes we've put on film and put on someone's screen, they dump 2 buckets of golf balls,
different
one white
colors,
and one
so you can
neon
see
green.
which one was in lane 1 and which one was in lane 2.
The way they do it is one person has each bucket and they just fling them. So there's no regulation of if they had just rolled them all down and made it to where they were uniform.
Yeah, well,
okay,
Justin and his dad Myron are just watching
down
and
there
just,
like they're reading the 18th green.
Do you see the way that kind of tilts to the left? But not in lane 2. Lane 2.
And then they're bouncing hard golf balls that are just pelting them in the face.
Yeah,
the point
they realized too late that they just released 2 buckets of golf balls.
Could have done anything.
Could have done any other ball.
Yeah.
The point here is for them to come to the realization that lane 2 is the best. Hence the
But
miracle
you get
in
to
lane
choose
2.
your lane?
I don't know.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
You would agree, regardless of how we
it's
feel about
awful.
this movie. It's not the worst scene in this movie. That's the last scene. But the scene.
Oh, I forgot.
This is the most pointless.
I had already forgotten.
Scene in the movie,
It's a dumb
maybe
scene.
any movie that we've
scene.
seen.
Dumb scene. It is time for Derby, and he derbies real good. He makes it to the finals against the daughter of the guy who
spent all the money.
Yeah, spent all the money, and also called him out for using handbrake, and he wins. He wins.
Hey,
it's a close race, but he wins.
Well, right before his race, he has a heart-to-heart with his brother.
Oh, that's right.
That's
His
right.
brother
I can't
comes
believe you're
up.
just gonna.
I'm sorry.
It's
You're
like
right.
such a touching moment where his brother is just like,
You're my hero.
you've been through so much, and you've never complained about the pain or any of this, and like you're my hero. Yeah. And they kind of touch heads.
You want to be like me, but I want to be like you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
it's a moment.
So Justin, Frankie,
Justin,
he's just driving down there. He's got his monologue going again, and he's like, you know what? Like I've done really well. My brother's words meant so much to me, and I think that I've already won, which you have.
Yeah,
like, that was great. But then he goes, you know what?
Trophy
no, I still want a trophy.
Let's
and
go.
That's fair.
I love that.
It was great.
Like great. You realize you don't need it, but like we're already here. I'm gonna win. I'm just gonna do it.
Yeah.
And he does win.
He does win. He does get his trophy.
And they could have framed it there,
wrapped it,
and would have just
been
sealed it.
Great movie.
But they didn't do that.
Well, then we get a scene with Dad and Seth playing basketball.
Still didn't apologize,
we
but
don't
whatevs.
see the apology, but I'm gonna hope that they had some sort of conversation.
It's a good hope. And then that should
And
be
that
it.
would have been a great ending.
And Frankie Muniz is watching him from the window, smiling.
And
Another great
and
ending.
he wheels past all his brother's trophies, and then you look over on the shelf on his side of
Yeah.
the room, and he finally
Roll
has
credits.
his trophy. Yes, and that's when they roll credits.
Perfect. But instead, we get another fantasy scene, and it's God.
Yes.
And he goes, "Hey, God," and God looks at him and he goes, "Thanks."
Right,
And then you roll credits.
Like Frankie's like, I realized this wasn't a mistake. Thank you. Great.
Yes.
Roll credits.
We had 3 great roll credits opportunities, maybe 4.
But
They
hey,
didn't
God,
take any of them.
God, I have one question.
Yeah.
Just one.
Yeah,
Do people have wheelchairs in heaven?
yeah, that's right. Am I going to be like this in heaven?
Or
and then,
like-
Bran, I want you to describe what happens next.
So, Sideburns God takes him over
About
to
to
a
say-
Sideburns God, I did see live.
to a big door. Now, there's nothing on either side. You could probably walk around the door, but it
But
doesn't
the
That's not how
lock,
portals
the
work,
lock is
Bran.
taller than God.
That's right. So he has the key on one of those strings
Yeah,
that
yeah.
connect to your belt loop there, which is awesome. Unlocks it, opens up the doors, and floating around in heaven are angels in wheelchairs.
Only in everyone is in a wheelchair, and they're in rows, and they're floating around.
And Frankie looks at that and says, "Perfect,
Hell yeah!
He says, perfect.
perfect."
And then we roll
And then we
credits.
fade.
And then we unfortunately roll credits.
And then
Yes.
we roll credits.
Yes.
Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll get to our overtime. We'll make our lists. We'll talk a little bit more about Miracle in Lane 2 here on Decom
Decom
Descendants.
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 Welcome back, everybody. We're talking about Miracle in Lane 2. Miracle in Lane 2. Frankie Muniz, Soapbox Derby, something that Dan obviously knew about.
Oh, a big soapbox derby guy over here. Huge.
Yes,
You used to
Huge.
compete, I heard.
Yes. Very different than boxcar derby.
that's right. Let's talk about this movie. Let's
This-
do some overtime.
Yeah, overtime is-
I've got
yes.
some letterbox
I thought you
reviews
were like-
for you.
Like starting to break down over there. You was a really long pause. I thought we needed to call somebody.
Mario says 3.5 stars. Wow, I was searching Disney Plus, Letterboxd, and IMDb for the first part of this movie for about 20 minutes until I realized it's called Miracle in Lane 2 and not Miracle in Lane Part 2. Not my brightest moment. Brivefilm says, where's Miracle in Lane 1? I looked everywhere before I watched this, and I thought maybe it was a lost film. I was confused the whole time and had no idea what was going on. Maybe if I could find Miracle in Lane 1, we'd be getting somewhere. But no.
Wow. Really
Frankie
upset.
Muniz burned every copy of Miracle in Lane 1. Matt says
Okay.
2 stars. Okay, but why'd the parent Strawberry Lube have to be a part of this movie?
Just fantastic.
I have the same question.
It is
Why?
as puzzling as the last frame of this movie is the inclusion of the strawberry lube.
I think the last frame of the movie makes more sense
No.
than having 2 mentions of Strawberry Loop.
Well, makes more sense from a standpoint of the theme of the movie, yes, because the theme of the movie is
Like, it's a
not-
children's movie. It's a children's
It's a
movie.
kid's movie, but still, the writer's room on that last scene. What if we open the doors and everybody, Dad, stay with me, everybody is in a wheelchair.
I mean, I
and
get that
they're
they were
all
trying to
floating every
show,
which way.
like at the beginning, Frankie thinks that him being in a wheelchair is a mistake, and he just wants
Yeah.
to be
That's
right.
perfect.
Oh, I know what they're trying to say.
So, but
I wasn't
there had to have been a better
Not
way.
following what happened at the end of that movie was atrocious. But yeah, two strawberry lube mentions, probably too many, I would
crazy.
say.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
We would think it's crazy if it happened in a Hallmark movie.
yeah.
This happened
Now,
in
in 2024, we'd still
this
be
happened
shocked.
in a Disney Channel original movie
Yeah.
in the year 2000.
Yeah.
Ed Vark says 1.5 stars. I'd be pissed if someone made a movie about me and made me look like a selfish S-head. That's great. Adrian says, absolutely love that God is wearing a mechanic's uniform with the word God on
The
it.
back of it.
RF says 3 stars. I hope that depiction of heaven is real. Oh, it's funny. Let's get to our thoughts on this movie. I had seen this movie before. Aaron, you had not seen this movie before?
in watching it, I do think I've seen bits and pieces, but have definitely not seen the whole thing.
Well, now that you have.
Now that I have.
What are your thoughts on Miracle in Lane 2?
Well, starting off, I think we'd made it 11 minutes into the movie, had 3 fantasy sequences, 4 fantasy sequences. And I looked at Dan and said, I stand by my decision to never have watched this movie fully.
Very confident.
Very confident.
So confident.
Yeah.
The opening of this movie is rough. There is more hijinks than I think it earns at that point in the movie. But the rest of the movie really worked for me. I liked the attitude of his parents, where kind of no matter what Frankie said he wanted to try, the family was like, all right, we're going to find a way to do this. You want to play baseball? Like, no questions asked. We're going to sign you up right now. You want to do soapbox derby? We're going to learn how to make a car. So I really liked that attitude of it. I'm very close with my brother, so I did like seeing, him and his brother at the end there where they were supporting each other. I do wish that we had cast an actual actor with spina bifida and not taken a fully abled actor and put him in a wheelchair.
Lots to ask in 2000 from Disney,
right.
but I agree 100%.
A lot to ask.
Yes.
If we were going to remake this movie in 2024, please find someone who actually has spina bifida. They're out there looking for their shot, and they're maybe talented more than what we saw.
Oh, man.
Whoa, what was that?
Shots fired.
I thought Frankie did a great job.
Frankie did a great job. I just would have liked to seen somebody get a shot. I also would have loved the dad to have been portrayed a little differently. He was very supportive and loving and understanding to one son and one son only. And I get that one son is kind of demanding more attention and care. But you can't forget your other son too. He's maybe not outwardly asking for love and care, but he needs it too. And if you could just show up to one baseball game.
Show up, man.
Or if you can't, maybe have one conversation where you say sorry.
Yeah, I think all of this is made a lot better if he just says sorry.
No kidding.
Because,
the scenes with Dad and Seth were hard to watch.
So difficult to watch.
Even what Dad said, I understand what he is saying.
Yeah.
And if it is followed with "I'm sorry, I done goofed," I realize this is something that I've realized about myself.
I could even get behind. I know Dan brought it up where there was his whole reasoning for not being able to go to the games is if I can't cheer for both my sons, I don't know how to cheer for just one.
Right. But now you're cheering for one of them.
But if you follow that up with "I'm sorry and I need to learn to do better," fine. Be honest about why you've had some shortcomings and then apologize and promise to do better. But to tell your son, I couldn't cheer for Justin, so I don't know how to cheer for you. And then the next day cheer for Justin at a soapbox derby.
Listen, I have one
You clearly have a favorite.
I have one son that needs more attention than the other son. I have that. It's Brandon. He needs the most.
I said Graham.
Graham. Graham works too. I have one son that needs more attention than the other. It is incumbent upon me as a father to find individualized ways to show my other son that I love him. And the fact that this guy doesn't realize it and his oldest son is 15 years old.
Yeah.
What if that's it? You have 3 more years and he's gone.
And
what are you doing, bro?
And Seth is using his words.
Yes.
And being could you come to my game?
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't have to work today? Great. I have a championship game.
Brutal.
It would mean a lot to me if you were there.
Brutal. Yeah.
So a lot of this movie worked for me. If it were to come on, if I was ever just sitting at home watching the Disney Channel and this movie came on, I would watch it again. But I would have liked to seen. Frankie did great. I didn't mean to disparage Frankie. He did a phenomenal job.
Everything you said was accurate.
But I would have liked to see an actual actor with spina bifida. And I would have liked a little bit more from the dad.
Everything that you said is more than fair. And I think that liking this movie as much as I like, because spoiler alert, I love this movie. Yeah. And I cried during this movie.
This movie was great in that regard.
You're on a streak right now.
It's been a busy week for my tears. The fact that I liked it as much as I did,
right here.
proves one how good the performances are. Like I thought the two brothers, I thought both of them did a great job. Vic is an amazing character. It's just like so good.
When Vic starts to come around,
Dad's the least likable character of all time, and I don't know if that's what he was going for, but great. So even with all the hurdles that we've talked about, liking this movie as much as I did is impressive. And so, yes, there's some problematic stuff. Wish that Strawberry Lube wasn't in this movie. Wish that it didn't end the way that it did. And like, there's things that they could. Like, even like the messaging at the end there where he's just like, hey, like the way that he's talking to God and the message in which they're trying to get across there is like, I don't hate what you're trying to do here. I hate the way in which you did it. Yeah. And so there's some like, stuff like that where it's not perfectly executed, but this movie crushes. This movie slaps.
Yeah, as Disney is remaking Under Wraps over and over again.
Yeah.
Maybe stop doing that
and use real mummies. Like
use real mummies. That's all we're trying to say. I do
use real mummies.
Update. I mean, I would like to see an updated version of this. There's a few things to fix, and it would just be like knock it out of the park.
I'm surprised
we don't have any like young kid sports movies anymore.
I'm surprised
we talk about it all the time. They're all gone.
That's right. They were
Rookie
all done
of
in
the
93,
Year.
94.
Yeah,
That's
Mighty
right.
Ducks. So Disney get back into the kids sports game and just remake this movie.
I'm surprised they're not doing that more. Remaking these DComs, like these classic. I know they did Under Wraps, but like that's not a classic DCom. Like it was like, why was that the one? And are you judging whether or not you do more of these based off of how Under Wraps did? Because like if you remake Brink, we're all coming to the yard. If you remake Johnny Tsunami, if you remake Smart House,
you could call up Johnny Tsunami. He's the dad now.
Oh my gosh, phenomenal!
Boy.
Redo Smart House and make it into like what do we think a Smart House could be now that we're in 2024?
Remake
like,
of Smart House would be the best because you could make it. You could lean into the horror some more.
There's so much that you can do with these movies now, and I'd like. We're so busy making remakes of movies that no one's asking for, so might as well do it with these DComs.
Yeah.
And I think Miracle on Lane 2 would be a smash hit as well. Yeah. Frankie as the dad.
Like it was mostly there, but like if you could just a little bit more.
For sure.
But I been like a 10 out of 10.
I remembered really liking this movie, and then the movie started. I was like, I'm not so sure. But then it course corrected.
Well, it starts off really hard with the hijinks.
Too many fantasy sequences to start off this movie.
And if we're saying that, if Bran and me are saying that, then there are too many of those sequences in the movie. Like you hijinks wear on you pretty quickly, but I just
I don't mind. Like the fantasy sequence, I don't mind, but it's when you hit 3 or 4 in less than 15 minutes.
I'm fairly certain they go to their first one a minute and 30 seconds into this movie.
4 and 12. It was like 4 and 12 minutes.
It's crazy.
It's
crazy.
So I just feel like we could have moved the plot a little further along, like faster.
Yeah.
And spread those fantasies out. Because there is a chunk of the movie where we don't have any.
Once he begins to interact with Vic, you begin, it's finding its sweet spot here.
So, I mean, I was like, this is going to be a rough movie. Because in the first 15, if the whole movie was like the first 15 minutes, I would not have enjoyed it. Right. But we did kind of. So overall, like, it has a little bit of hijinks, some fantasy, but then it also has a touching story underneath it. So,
Dan?
Yeah.
I think the best thing I can say about this movie is if we're judging these on which movie feels the fastest and seems as though you could pick up at any time, like if it was on TV and you would just watch it and enjoy it, this is probably number one. By that measurement, this movie, even early on when there's 4 fantasy sequences and it's doing everything wrong when it comes to the disabled community, it still is fast paced and entertaining. Like it still has this thing where you're like, this is moving, it's going somewhere. And that's amazing. It also has the worst ending of any of these movies, even worse than Imaginary Friend kissing the person they were the imaginary friend of. This ending is worse than that. Has a terrible golf ball scene that I will be laughing about for weeks to come, and has some the dad stuff is very, very weird. But at its best, this was super duper entertaining and a lot to really like here. A plot that is based on a true story, but is a plot that people use a lot in movies over and over again. And there's a reason. It's because it works. Super problematic stuff and weird stuff, especially with the ending, the strawberry lube and the golf ball scene. Those scenes are weird, but very entertaining too. So we end up in a tough spot to rank, which brings us to making the list.
It does bring us to. You felt like this movie was moved faster than Johnny Tsunami?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
Let's see where it lands for all of us. I imagine we're all going to at least, it's going to break our top 10 this week, which is not that what happened last week, so it's good to be back on the right side of history. Let's make our list. Aaron, we'll start with you. Give us that top 10. You need more time.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to change by next week.
Okay, here we go.
Miracle on Lane 2 is debuting high, and it doesn't need to be, but...
It's just a weird way to do things.
Well, because we just watched
Recency
it.
biased.
Yeah, where I'm like, I just watched it. It was really great. I need to think and pray and go to my war room for a little bit, but didn't have time. So right now, number 10, Alley Cat Strike. 9, Rip Girls. 7.
Oh, Rip Girls, that was
8,
a movie.
8, Brink. 7, Up and Away. 6, Xenon. 5, Halloween Town. 4, Smart House. 3, Color of Friendship. 2, Miracle on Lane 2. And 1, Johnny Tsunami.
A 2.
3. What did you say was 3 again?
Color of Friendship.
Oh my God.
It's been number 1 for like the last 3 weeks. It's on its way down.
So wait, what's your number 1?
Johnny Tsunami's back up there.
So it's...
Because I think that with the 2 corrections that I would like to see in Miracle on Lane 2, it probably would have been number 1, but...
So wait, it's Smart House, Miracle, and then Color of Friendship.
Yeah.
Yes.
Miracle, and then Johnny Tsunami.
Yes.
Yeah.
10, Color of Friendship. Probably still too high. 9, Xenon. 8, Genius. 7, Alley Cat Strike. 6, Don't Look Under the Bed. 5, Halloween Town, holding strong in the top 5 still. But has been knocked down a little bit by number 4, Miracle on Lane 2. Number 3, Smart House. Number 2, Johnny Tsunami. And number 1, Brink.
You know what's wild is that, first of all, that's ridiculous. But second of all, Miracle in Lane 2 is going to be the lowest on your list, Bran.
Yeah.
The person that probably loved this movie the most.
I love all the movies,
which is very weird.
I have
I thought this was going to be either 1 or 2 behind Brink. That's where I thought it was going to be.
I have a bit of a history with loving movies too much. I don't know
what. Where can they find out? I don't have time. Number 10, also Color of Friendship. Also think probably a little too high. Alley Cat Strike and Sweet Lou looking better and better.
We can only hope that it moves down next week. 9,
Up and Away. 8, Genius has moved down a little on my list, starting to be a little bit more realistic there. 7, Smart House. 6, Don't Look Under the Bed. 5, Xenon. 4, Brink. 3, Miracle in Lane 2.
Wow.
2, Halloween Town. 1, Johnny Tsunami.
How about that?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Let us know.
How
hey,
do you feel?
Feels great.
If you all are making your list on Letterboxd, tag us on Instagram, like post it in your stories, and we'll because I'd love to see what other people are putting stuff in. Maybe if you're watching along with us, we'd love to see how your lists are compared to ours, because all 3 of our lists we've got a lot of the same bones there, but we kind of view where the head should be and where the toe should be different.
Aside from old Rip Girls over here.
I went a little bit too hard with the skeleton.
Like number 9.
But it's on your list. It's not on our list anywhere.
15. 15.
Yeah.
We're back next week with
Inheriting a Hawaiian Island.
Stepsister from Planet Weird is where we're going next
Cool.
week, everybody. Can't wait for that.
I can't either.
Recently rewatched it.
It's a movie that my dad has teased me about
Oh, good.
several times a year, every year, since this movie premiered in 2000. And I don't think I've seen it since 2000. So I'd love to know why he's making fun of me.
Can't wait.
Buckle up, Dano. We'll be back. Until then,
Decom all day.
Decom all day.
Decom Descendants is a Bramble Jam podcast. It's produced by Brandon Gray, unless Aaron goes over there and hits a button. You can find out more information on Decom Descendants by going to decompodcast.com, on the socials at Decom Descendants. For more information on how to watch these movies live, you can go to bramblejamplus.com.